Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing something a little different. As you see, my camera is off. I figured I want this to be just a little bit more casual, and since it's informational, I figured that the gameplay in the background was plenty enough on its own, in combination with the information, to keep you entertained. I didn't want to overwhelm anyone, so yeah, we're just gonna do gameplay and a little bit of a discussion. And today, I am introducing a series where I talk about my journey as a writer, specifically as a freelance and contract writer. So, there may be people that have never seen my content before that stumble upon this, and if you're new, then welcome, and thank you for giving this a shot. If you are one of my regular viewers, you might be bored to death already because you're used to either mental health or gaming content combined, or one or the other. So this is a little different. This is similar to my Toasting Norks series, all three of them actually, where I talk about either mental health, spiritual health, or physical health. This is actually it's very similar to that. It's that podcasty format where you watch me play Spyro while I discuss a specific topic. And today's topic is 5 tips for starting your freelance writing career. So, before I get into those 5 tips, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I got started as a freelance writer as a whole. So, let's dive into my story a bit. So, I started college as soon as I graduated high school. I was homeschooled, and all I knew was that I wanted to go to college. I was more than happy that I did not go to public school for middle school or high school. I did go to elementary school at a private school, and I loved it as a kid, but as I got older, mental health got bad, and my parents gave me the option to go to public school, but they also gave me the option to be homeschooled. And every year, as expected, I continued to choose the homeschooling route. So yeah, I'm glad I did, but by the time I graduated, I knew I was ready to be in the classroom. I wanted to be specialized in something, and while middle school and high school, gave me the opportunity to kind of just get those gen eds out of the way from home, there's no specialization when you're in high school, really. Nowadays that's changing. They're definitely getting better about providing kids with opportunities for specializing and kind of finding your career path earlier on, but that's not really how it was when I was in high school. Yes, I'm already getting that old. So yeah, I was ready to start college and I went straight into it, dove in head first, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to do something more in the artsy field because I'm not a math and science person, let's just be honest here. But, when I thought of being a writer, I thought of someone who was an author of a book or a journalist. And that's it. I didn't realize that there was more than that. I didn't have the confidence to be an author, and I had no interest in being a journalist. Therefore, I didn't give English consideration at first whatsoever. I pretty much just ruled it out, and I started college, got my basics in, and I temporarily majored in social work. I thought I wanted to be a therapist because I was passionate about mental health, but as time went on, I realized that my own mental health needed a lot of attention, and that definitely affected everything for me. So I figured that going into a mental health career could be a little bit overwhelming and probably not the best idea. So I was nearing the end of my arts degree, and thankfully an associate's degree in arts was essentially something I just needed to transfer to university on. So the specialization wasn't so important. It could have saved me a little bit of time, but it wasn't essential because most of what I was doing there anyway was getting my basics in for a more affordable price at community college. So by my last semester, I had a really great English professor who really encouraged me to use my writing in my career. He believed that I had a lot of potential as a writer, and I took a playwriting class with him my last semester, and it was so amazing. I was able to see a play that I wrote with no experience whatsoever be performed at the annual play festival by theater students, and that was just really cool. It was a really awesome opportunity, and it made me realize that it didn't really matter what I did with writing, I had to do something with it. So from there, I went to university. I majored in English literature, and that's how I've got where I am today. So yeah, once I got that bachelor's degree in English literature, I instantly started working. So 2019, December, I graduated, and by January, I landed my first gig. We'll talk more about the specifics of each gig in future episodes, but basically, what I want to talk to you about right now is 5 general facts that you really just need to remember if you're considering getting into freelance writing. So, number 1, read, read, and read again. You cannot be a writer unless you're reading content. There are a few different directions that I'm going to go with this. Point A is definitely read technical books that teach you how to write. I'm not sure if you are a freelance creative writer, if you are a content writer, a journalist, a blogger. You probably have a specific niche that you want to write in, so what type of book you read will depend based on what type of writing you're into. If you are trying to be concise and informational, then technical writing is definitely a great way to go. A specific book that I would recommend for that is Writing Without BS, which actually says the curse word, but you know what I mean. That's definitely a book you'll want to look into. So yeah, Writing Without BS is a good one for technical writers. I can recommend that. But yeah, if you're looking for nonfiction or creative writing, whatever route you want to go, that could be something different. But really, to be honest with you, when I'm talking to you, I'm mostly talking about content and technical writing. I'm not going to be giving you great advice on how to be a published creative writer or how to make money off of creative writing. That said, content writing oftentimes does cross over into creative territory. I mean, if you're blogging, you have to remain engaging and entertaining despite also being technical and not adding too much fluff to your pieces. But yeah, overall, you want to read and read about how you can write better. Point B is read genre books. Read anything that you're interested in. It does not matter whether it be fiction, whether it be poetry, whether it be self-help and self-development books. Read as much as you can, whatever interests you though. Don't force yourself to read something that bores you to death, because there's quite literally no point. You will get nothing done. You will waste your time and your money, and it's not going to help you grow. You want to read things that interest you. It doesn't matter if it's a book about trains or if it's a book about dragons. It can be a video game walkthrough book from 2003. It does not matter. You want to read. The reason for this is because it helps you learn different tones. And the best part about that is you do want to read many different kinds of books. So if you're interested in fishing and cooking, then read books about that. If you're interested in fantasy, and science fiction, read about those different things, and you're going to learn so many different tones, which will be great when you pick up different types of clients. Some freelance writing places will specialize in one specific thing. For example, I work for someone that's specialized in automotive. Others will have multiple different types of clients. So it really just depends on your audience. I recommend learning all of it, and with time, you'll figure out what works best for you, which brings me to my second point. Number 2, find your niche. So as you start writing, you will realize what you like and what you don't. You already have an idea that, maybe you're not, hey, that was awesome. Maybe you're not crazy about I don't know, fashion, but you know that you love video games or hiking. Of course, you're going to come into it already having an idea of what you like and what you don't like, but when you start writing about different things for different clients, you're really going to know what you're comfortable researching and writing about and what you're not. You know, you may not love trying new restaurants, but if you're doing local content for a business where you rank the best local restaurants, you might find that that's actually really fun, despite the fact that it's not really something you do in your free time. That's definitely something that's happened to me. I've done local content before, and that's actually one of my favorite types of content to do, even though I'm not familiar with it. But then again, you might write an article on real estate and realize, oh my goodness, this is incredibly boring and really hard to research. And why this is important, y'all, is that, you know, you might get a flat rate for an article, and the time it takes you to complete it will highly depend upon how interested you are in the content and how easy it is for you to research it and put yourself in the audience's shoes. If you're trying to write about something you hate, then you will waste a substantial amount of time trying to force yourself to, one, be interested in it, and two, wrap your head around the concepts, because it's going to be harder for you to put yourself in the audience's position. If you find something you're interested in, or at least something you can understand why another person would be interested in it, then awesome. It's way easier, it's more fun, it's more engaging to read the articles you need to learn enough about that subject matter to write about it. So yeah, that's why finding your niche is important, and it's even more important because as you're growing in your career, employers and full-time employers will totally be looking for that. An example is that I just recently landed a full-time senior associate copywriter position in the automotive field. The main reason I got that job is because I have so much published automotive content, and it's definitely been my niche topic I have chosen the entire time I've been a writer. Like, I've written about gaming, I've written about vet clinics, I've written about shopping, I've written about nature, I've written about all sorts of different things throughout my career, but the one thing that I never stopped doing was writing about automotive. So finding your niche is definitely important, especially if you're freelance writing in order to build your portfolio up. Number 3, start your own blog. So when you have free time, it is definitely beneficial to flex and grow your writing skill by writing about something that you enjoy. And we kind of touched on this a little bit, but I mean, like, you can really narrow it down when you're writing your own blog. You can do video game reviews if you want. You can write your top 10 favorite sodas. You can write about the 5 best things to do in your town and your 10 favorite locations for jet skiing. I mean, the possibilities are endless when you have a blog. You can niche your blog out and make a blog specifically for a certain subject matter. Like, for example, if you want to solely do game reviews, you could make a game review blog. Or you could just make a personal blog that literally has a plethora of different things that you talk about, and it's just an outlet, and it's not something you're so much worried about ranking for SEO as it is just something for you to get some creative content out there and some content that you can share on your portfolio when you apply for a freelance contractor position, because that's the trick. Once you're a contractor and you've got published work through several different companies, your portfolio is that published work, and you're able to share that with any potential future employers that need a portfolio. But when you're trying to land your first writing gigs, you may have nothing. You may have nothing more than an article or an essay you wrote in college, and you may not even have that. So that's why having your own blog is so important, because you can flex your own writing skill. Now, when I say that, I don't mean to just wake up one day with no writing experience other than just a few professors or teachers telling you that your English is good. I mean, like, definitely watch some videos, read some books, as I mentioned earlier, to make sure that you're on the right track with your styling, that you're not creating too long of paragraphs, that you're keeping the reading engaging, and you're breaking it up with bold type and, you know, spaces between paragraphs, short paragraphs. You definitely want it to be a nice, presentable blog that's worth showing on your portfolio, but definitely consider it. There are things you can do and self-teach when it comes to blogging that will totally make it worth it and make it a pretty quick and easy transition and learning experience. And the best part about it is if you're starting your own blog, it's not like anybody's going to penalize you for messing up. So you can make your own mistakes and learn and grow over time without, it causing a delay in publication. You can learn on your own what works for you and what doesn't. And if you learn something new, you can always go back and make edits because it's your blog and you have the full freedom to do so. Number 4. This one seems basic, but review sentence structure rules. I am from Eastern Kentucky, and my dialect highly precedes my grammatical correctness. When I'm speaking, I know I am speaking improperly, and that's okay, because I'm super proud of my Eastern Kentucky dialect. I love it. I think it's part of what makes me who I am. I do not believe that dialect reflects upon your intelligence whatsoever. Dialect is important, and language is important. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But when you're going to write, things read differently than they do when you hear them. Me speaking improperly can come off as endearing, whereas if you're reading a blog post or a social media post, improper grammar can be really off-putting. So yeah, review your basic sentence structures. I started taking master's classes, and I was surprised at the things that I was taught in my master's class for grammatical correctness and workplace grammar that should have been something I remembered. From elementary school, I started having flashbacks of prepositional phrases and all of this stuff that I honestly just didn't think about when I was writing. So yeah, just a simple, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to write a whole blog post without using any prepositions. But you will learn, upon reviewing basic grammar rules, how much better that writing flows if you review some of those basic writing rules. It's definitely a good way to make yourself seem more authoritative and also make your reading easier to follow, more digestible, and just all around better. And number 5, perhaps the most important of all, be okay with accepting low-paying work at first. In fact, even be okay with accepting and looking for unpaid internships. Here's why. The first published writing that I ever had was completely unpaid. It was through an internship while I was still in college called the Borgen Project. The cool thing about unpaid internships is, while it's not very realistic in today's economy, if you are in college or you do have a full-time job or a part-time job and you have a source of income somehow, it's great to get that experience so you can get the paid jobs. And if you're in college, you can oftentimes receive college credit or class credit for those internships, like I was able to do with the Borgen Project. Yeah, it's offensive and it's off-putting, I know, when you see, oh, this position is unpaid, and you're putting a lot of time and effort into something that you're not getting compensated for. Don't get me wrong. If you can find a paid internship and you put a great portfolio together or a great resume together to get that and you're able to, then totally choose that over an unpaid one. I'm not saying that you have to take an unpaid internship or you will not be successful. Definitely take the paid one if it's an option. But apply to both. Don't see the paid one and say, oh, I'm not even going to bother applying to this unpaid one. No, definitely apply to both, because there's a chance you may not get the paid internship. And if you don't, but you get the unpaid one, then there's still an opportunity there to get the experience that you need to land that paid work. It's very important. So yeah, I took that unpaid internship, and then I also started writing for what I would consider a low-paying position, where I wrote reviews for video games that were paid per view, and it was so many cents per view. I never actually even cashed out there because I didn't get enough views to cash out, at least at the time. I haven't checked back with the company to see if I have any money there, and I'm honestly perfectly fine with that. I'd rather just not worry about it because it's not that big of a deal to me. It was all about the experience. I did get free video games, which was cool to review, but which again is another cool perk. But it was all about the experience, and I learned so much there, especially about WordPress and SEO formatting. And yeah, it definitely got me into the gaming industry. It was probably how I was able to get on at Game Rant and The Gamer, which is huge. That's super exciting and awesome, and has also been great for my portfolio. Once I passed those unpaid types of positions, or like low benefit types of positions, I did start working for a low pay. I did start working for low pay through an Upwork client. And while looking back on it, it wasn't much money at all. I have realized that that got a lot of experience for me, and it was better than nothing, for sure. But over time, I received raises and compensation for my hard work, and even though I couldn't claim enough to make a living, I found that I went from spending 8 hours on writing an article to spending 1 hour. So my article rate was a ridiculously high hourly rate by the time I've gotten to where I'm at there. It's amazing. It's really awesome. I'm very appreciative for that opportunity, and it's been great. Yeah, point 5 is, you have to be okay with those low paying, low cent per word rates, low flat article rates, whatever it may be. You have to be okay with it. Don't take it personally. You can be a fantastic writer and still have to start out there because you don't have the portfolio to show it. Remember that this is all about building your portfolio and your experience. So yeah, those are my 5 tips. I have a little bit of an outro part to talk about real quick. So I actually started planning this series a few weeks before I got offered a full-time copywriter position at senior level, fully remote with benefits and 401k and the whole 9 yards. It's something I have dreamed about and wanted for such a long time. The best part about it is that it's centered on automotive, and it's centered on brands that are really important to me. So not only is it a dream position in the sense that I'm a copywriter, I'm going to get to be a copywriter for something that I really am interested in and I really enjoy. This position is just really exciting. So I say that to say this. I didn't think that would happen, and I knew it would eventually, but I didn't think it would happen this soon. I figured I wouldn't be able to land something like that until I was in my late 30s, early 40s with a master's degree, and maybe even having to get a further degree in order to land something like I have just landed. But that's not the case, and I largely accredit that to my portfolio, to my freelance writing, to all of the work that I have put in to getting that portfolio, developing those skills, and becoming the writer that I am today. That said, I have received many rejections. I have been through many interviews, all the way to the final interview where I was down to just a few people and me, and someone else was chosen over me. That has happened to me so many times. So do not get discouraged if you've got a decent portfolio already and you've been applying to these full-time jobs and you just keep getting told no. Don't be discouraged, because that has totally happened to me too. I didn't just wake up with the opportunities that I have right now, and I do understand that privilege makes a difference for everybody, especially when it comes to the speed of how fast you get there. There are all kinds of factors to factor in here, so the tips I'm giving you today are broad, and they will vary depending on your situation and what you're looking for. Nothing's the same for everyone, so I'm not saying, oh, if you follow these tips, you're going to get a perfect freelance writing career and boom, that's not the case. No one is sponsoring me. I'm not making money off of this. This is just me sharing my experience in hopes that it may help some of you. And, I know a few of my online friends are actually interested in writing and have mentioned getting into this type of career. So I just want to provide, some free information on how you can make it work too, just based on experience. There's definitely more professional work out there that I would recommend you reading and watching. You can definitely find professionals who can teach paid classes, or you can buy books that will definitely give you even better tips than what I'm giving you, but I definitely want to share my experiences. So I started with these 5 tips because I figured the best place to start is telling you how to even get started in a freelance writing career. I will have more videos eventually where I talk about things like how to respond to, critical feedback, what you want to avoid, and kind of like red flags you might see from certain freelance positions, because they're not always as great as what I've been blessed with to talk about in this episode. So yeah, I'll talk about all kinds of different things in the future with this series, but I wanted to start here. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I would love to hear from you. If you have any recommendations on what you'd like to hear more about, also let me know in the comments, and I can definitely take those into consideration when I'm making future videos and addressing future topics with freelance writing. So thank you all very much. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, and I will see you in the next episode.